Hello, and welcome back to another gardening video. Now in this video we're going to be unboxing, assembling and then planting this amazing Hortuzz indoor smart garden. Now just to say before we start, the company Hortuzz did send me this garden for free, but just because they sent it for free doesn't mean I'm going to be biased. I'm going to give you my true opinion on this, and I genuinely want to explore this garden and share with you my experiences with it and how it goes. You can buy the Hortuzz Smart Garden from Amazon for about £50, but if you use code 10ZZGarden, then you can get 10% off this Hortuzz garden. So if you want to have that nice little 10% discount, then just use that discount code when you check out when you're buying this on Amazon. Okay, now let's get right into the video and unbox and assemble this really cool looking smart garden. So when you first open the box, you're presented with this. You can see the manual for the smart garden, so you can go through that, but I'm going to walk you through basically what this will tell you to do. Then you've got this nice protective film, we'll take that off, and here we go. This is the garden that we've been waiting for. So we'll just gently take it out of the box, carefully, and you can see it's got these two really good supports on either side, so we'll just take that out, put that down, and that's everything that's in the box, so just put this to the side for now. And this is the garden itself. So it's quite small and compact, but for growing things like lettuce or mini strawberries or tomatoes or herbs or whatever you want to grow, it's still enough space to do so, and a really affordable way to do so as well. Now you can see this little panel. We just gently ease that upwards to raise the light on this cool extendable arm. And you can see this arm extends really high on these three different brackets, so you can eventually get it to this high stage when you've got plants that are growing really, really tall. Now all the stuff that you're going to need for your smart garden is tucked away inside the box. So you just take the lid off like this, and then you can see in there you've got some plant pods for sowing your seeds in. You've got baskets for putting these pods into. You've got germination domes for speeding up germination when you sow the seeds, and you've also got little plant covers. So say you weren't going to grow a plant in every single one of these holes, but you didn't want it to just be open and for like stuff to get in, you can just put one of these caps over the top to make it look neat and tidy, but still have plants growing, but not in every hole. Then we've also got a plug for the power for the smart garden, so we'll plug that in a minute. We've got two nutrient bottles here. Because this is a hydroponic system, it means that all the nutrients that the plants get are going to come from the nutrients in these two bottles. And it specifies exactly how much of each you need to use in your instruction booklet. And if you want to know exactly what plant food you're giving your plants, then on the backs of the bottles it specifies everything that is in these ingredients, so everything that your plants will be getting. Look inside the smart garden. We can see this little box with this little black box with a white cover and a little pipe coming out the end, and this power cable, and this is the water pump. So this will circulate the water and make sure that it doesn't stagnate. Now one thing I should mention is that this whole setup doesn't come with seeds. You're going to have to buy your own seeds, but that means that you can choose exactly what you want to grow. So let's get on with the planting process. So before we sow the seeds, we're going to fill this water tank with water, and this is a 3-litre water tank, and the plants grow in these little sponge growing medias, and all that they're there for is to provide a little bit of structure for the plant to kind of stabilize itself in. But all the nutrients that the plant absorbs comes from the nutrients that you add into the water. Some cool features about this Novo 8 Hortuzz garden is that it has some different settings on the top of it. So there's a light setting for flowers and fruits, and then there's another light setting for vegetables. So say you're growing lots of things like lettuce and more leafy crops, then you're going to want to use the vegetables light. But say you're growing lots of things like tomatoes and peppers and small fruit-bearing crops, then you're going to want to use the flowers. And if you're also growing flowers, then you're going to want to use the flowers and fruit light mode. And when you change between them, you can just see the light change a bit, and because this is benefiting those different types of plants. So there's this little helpful bung at the back that you can just take out, and then all the water will empty out of there, making it much easier to clean the whole garden. Plugging in your garden, there are these two different plug switches, and you might be wondering, well, which one plugs the power and which one plugs the water pump? And if we look inside the garden, there's a little wire here that connects to the water pump. This top one is for the water pump to be plugged into, but you don't want to plug this in until you've filled up the tank, otherwise it will damage the water pump. Then this bottom hole is for the power cord, so this will supply the energy for the water pump and for the light itself. So let's plug it in and see what happens. And there we go. You can see the light is turned on. It's looking really, really nice. If you're wondering how the whole lighting system works, basically, as soon as you've plugged in your smart garden, a little internal timer for 16 hours starts. And once that 16 hours is up, it will automatically turn off and then re-turn on 8 hours later. So, for example, I've just turned my smart garden on at 5 p.m. That means that in 16 hours time, so at 9 a.m. tomorrow, this would turn off. But obviously that's not what you want, because you want this to mimic the day of the sun as much as possible. So to get the best cycle, you should turn your smart garden on at between 6 to 7:30 a.m. because that means that 16 hours later it will be about 10 or 11 p.m, which is roughly the end of the day, and then it will turn off and be dark the same time that it's dark outside. And now, before we plant our seeds, the final step is just to fill it with water. And if you're wondering how you fill up the tank when there's plants growing in here, so when you can't just lift this cover off, this hole at the side here has a little watering can picture on it. This indicates that this hole here is where you can use your watering can or whatever or glass or whatever to fill this with water. And there we go, we've filled up the water tank completely. You can see just to the top of that little indicator. And now let's turn the water pump on. So we're just going to take this wire here and just plug it into this here. So we've turned the light on, as you can see, and I've unpacked all the stuff, so now we can actually begin planting. So this is everything that the garden comes with. You can see there's germination domes here for putting on top of the pods once you've sown them to speed up with germination. Then these are the baskets that these pods sit into, and then this whole thing goes into the garden. And then this is a little cap that will permanently go on your watering can hole, just to keep it closed and make sure nothing gets into it again. And finally, you've got some labels for putting on top of your germination domes while they germinate, so that you know what's what until it's sprouted and you can properly see what it is. Now I'm going to be growing 3 little gem lettuce pods, 3 pods of strawberries and 2 pods of basil. And I hope that will show that you can grow quite a diverse range of different plants, from a fruiting plant to leaves, to salad leaves, to herbs. And things like basil, I like to sometimes just chop up nice and fine into a lovely salad and enjoy it mixed up with other fresh leaves. So I've got my little pod here like this. I'm going to start with the lettuce. So there's this really handy little tool that I haven't actually seen in any other smart gardens, and this is for picking up seeds and really easily being able to drop them into your little sponge pods. So I'll just reach into the bag like this, grab a few little seeds like that, and then find my pod and just drop a few in. Now in terms of how many seeds you're going to be planting, things like lettuce, the germination rates are quite sporadic, so you're going to want to plant maybe 3 to 5 seeds per pod, whereas something like basil, maybe 2 to 3 per pod, and then the strawberries I'll probably do 2 to 3 per pod, because you can always thin them out later if it doesn't work. So now that we've sown all the seeds and we've put the water in and we've turned it on and we've put it on vegetable mode because we've got fruit and we've got vegetables, the final step is to add the nutrients. And to do this, you're going to want to add 100 millilitres of water to both of these bottles. And then, because we've just filled this up full, so it's now 3 litres full, we're going to want to add 15 millilitres of plant food A and 15 millilitres of plant food B into this water tank. Now once you've filled the 2 nutrients bottles with water, you then just want to give them both a really good shake. Once you've shaken your nutrient bottles, you're then going to want to measure out 15 millilitres of each to put into your garden. And the lids that these come with are also measuring caps that are 15 millilitres in size. There we go. So we've fully planted a load of nice plants in our Hortuzz garden, and now the only thing left to do is leave it, and in a week or two things will start sprouting and start growing, and as things start growing you can raise this light. So you can see this light, it actually goes really tall. It's actually very impressive. It's a lot taller than my I-Do's one. So this means that, well, for example, I've sown 2 basil plants that are right in the middle here, and basil can grow really tall. So this now means that I can grow my basil all the way up to this height, whereas in my I-Do I have to cut it down when it gets to about here. So I didn't actually realise this feature, but it's actually a really cool thing. Now when they're at this stage of haven't sprouted yet, or in their very seedling stage, you want this light to be as close to the seedlings as possible. Now if there's anything that you want a bit more detail explained in, or you just want to be able to check back in something other than this video, then all the instructions needed is in this really handy instruction manual that comes with the Smart Garden. So I hope you enjoyed this video and it's helped you decide whether you want to get your own Hortuzz garden, or if you have your own and this was just helpful in showing you how to unbox it and assemble it and some cool things to sow, then whatever, I hope it was helpful for you. And remember, if you want to get 10% off when purchasing one of these, then use code 10ZZGarden when you go to checkout on Amazon. And in a month or two, I'm going to be doing a review video of my Hortuzz. So once I've got some user experience and have actually used it. So if you want to watch that video when it comes out, make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on so that you can watch that as soon as it comes out. And with that, I hope you found this enjoyable, and see you next time, and goodbye.